Today on the channel, we're going to be having a look at The Phantom New Year, a comic book from 1985. And this comic book was a part of the Fuse Unnumbered and A-Series Phantom comics. And now the history behind these comics, and they officially started with the most famous were to eventually to be known as issue 1 and issue 2. Others were to spawn a sub-series of special editions that formed part of a normal series but were identified with the letter A after the issue number. And in some cases such as this, books such as this, some of them had A after the issue number and some of them didn't even have an issue number. So most people, if they're out and they're trying to find Phantom issues from, they especially happened between issue number 800 and into the 900s, and then it stopped because they'll have numbering issues to do with issue 1000, which would eventually come out in 1991, and the following one after that, which would become issue number 1000. There's a little bit of a numbering issue there, and so there would eventually be 2 number 1000s, but there's a little bit of messed up history there. And where I'm getting all this information is at deadwoods.org, A-Series on their website, and their website is a really great website if you want to find out in-depth information to do with Phantom comics through all the last 70, 80 odd years of the Phantom being created, and also the Phantom being in Australia. It's really a really great website. And this particular issue, which came out in 1985, happens to be issue number 817A. And I somehow have this issue because a few years ago I was on a little bit of a quest, and I was trying to collect as many Phantom comics because my eventual goal is to have all the Phantom comics that was published by a few publications. And there's a story with this comic, is that obviously before I moved to another country town, I was in another country town, and I knew another person that had Phantom comics and whatnot, and he didn't want them anymore. And so I bought some Phantom comics off him. And one of the issues that I bought, with many other issues, was this comic. And now in Collector's Archive number 8, we're going to be having a look at this comic book. It's going to be so damn good because this is from 1985. And so let's crack it open and let's have a look. And a lot of these A-Series comic books that came out during this time actually have a different back cover, because these different back covers were being taken from, I'm pretty sure they were being taken from the Egmont series that was happening at the time, and they were bringing out some very fantastic covers, and they somehow went on to Australian back issue of the Phantom, and it was also must have been to celebrate Happy New Year 1985. So when I'm having a look at this comic is actually 39 years old. Would you believe it? 39 years old, and next year in 2025 this will be 40 years old. Now that's a bit astounding right there. That's a bit astounding. We have a very nice hand-drawn story by Cy Barry, it looks like it. Yep, Falcon Barry. Lee Falcon, Cy Barry. Yep, this was actually, hang on a sec, must have been released in 1985, but was actually published in 1984. Have a look at that. 1984 just there. Very, very classic artwork. Very, very good. Now, the paper quality of this comic is actually in quite good nick. It's like an off-brown type white, off-brown type paper. And what you're seeing up on the screen, and I've said this many, many times, and it still is related to what we're talking about, but what you're seeing up on the screen here is totally different to what I'm looking at. It's totally different to what I'm looking at. And I haven't, this is one of the comics that I haven't even looked at. Like, I haven't even read this Phantom comic because, you know, we get a bit busy, and we then don't read as many comics as we should be reading. But you get that in the hard jobs. Don't exactly know what this story is. I don't feel like I've seen it. Oh, look at that panel. That's so cool. That's so cool. That's such a great panel. There are times, they say, when the Phantom leaves the jungle and walks the streets of the town as an ordinary man. This is one of those times. Last year, when we closed this place, it was Blue Dragon, now open, and except for the dragon's colour, nothing's been changed. Never ask a Phantom a uncivil question, or this will happen. Old jungle saying. even after Cy Barry retired in 1995, you sort of miss his work on the Arts comic book strip, and I can see why people say why they miss him a lot, because his artwork is just, it's very, very beautiful to look at, and I can't see why a person wouldn't have Cy Barry in his top 10 of favorite Phantom comic book strip artists. Now, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to put it out there. All artists, they are the same, but there are some artists that are out there that are so good. They are so good. They are so good at what they do. They take everything to the next level. And I believe Cy Barry does that when he was illustrating the Phantom on the comic book strip from the early 1960s to the mid 1990s. It's like saying you can have an average author, you can have a good author, and then you can have a really, really good author. It's also like saying you can eat a bad piece of chocolate, an average piece of chocolate, and then a really, really good piece of chocolate. Is there a difference between the bad piece of chocolate and the really good piece of chocolate? I think so. In this case, you can have a good drawing, a good drawer, a average drawer, a good drawer, and then a really, really good drawer who knows what he's doing. But I guess with doing the comic book strip for however long Cy Barry did it for, because he did it for over 30 years, I guess that with all that time that he's working on the comic book strip and illustrating the Phantom, he's getting so good at it. He has that experience to rely on. When he has that experience to rely on, he already knows he's so good because he's practicing all the time. And the thing is, it's very, very similar when, say, if a professional sports person and they have to practice so much to get so good at that sport. Very, very similar to a professional artist. You have to put the reps in to be a good artist in your professional space. Oh, we have a new story, and it has something to do with Juneka. I feel this has something to do with Kilauea Beach. Yeah, there we go. Your bride. After a brilliant wedding, Juneka brings her to the specially made jade hut on Kilauea for their honeymoon. But his beautiful bride dies in childbirth. I will never return to Kilauea. I deed it to you and your descendants for all time. What is that, Phantom Headpeg? Hey, look! Each and every spring on Kilauea, mass weddings of Wambesi and Lonergan couples. Now thee and he and thee and she be wed. Following a dip in the sapphire sea. Then the ceremony continues. They roll in the golden sand, finally through the jade hut, and for days after, the golden couples are seen in the forest. Hey, I hear the ocean. It's hot. Let's have a swim. Not that way, Kilauea. Don't do it. Do it. And then there's this bird, and it goes in onto the jeep or something. If you do not eat, should not kill. Don't lecture us. We came to hunt. Get to that beach. Oh wow, look at the beach. Look at the water. Can't wait. Kilauea. Why are you turning around? This is where we want to swim. Cannot. This is Phantom Beach. Taboo. Don't give us that jungle jiv. You get back to that beach, or I'll taboo you or blow you away. Ha ha. Wow, what a beach. I want to build here. How about a hotel? Great. The water's the living end. Perfect. Build 2 hotels. Not just for us. Hey, this is gold. Gold. Baldy, you gotta be crazy. And like most beautiful places around the world, we always like to capitalize on them, don't we? But the Phantom doesn't want any of that. The Phantom strangers, Kilauea. Phantom strangers, Kilauea. It's like you're there trespassing on a beach that is owned by the Phantom. Obviously, Brad, obviously. They make so much of a racket. And then they bang, bang, vroom, vroom. The Phantom, evil men, beware, Phantom. He who comes to Kilauea without love, let him die here. They're in the sand. They're in the sand. Brutal men. They kill for fun. No more. Hey, what? What is this? Can't move. Who was that masked man? Masked guy? A hood left us here to die. No, he's just in the jungle there, mate. Help you. You tried to bring death here. Tried to kill this drummer. No good reason. Tried to kill your driver when he overheard your plot to kill him. Both attempts failed because you couldn't shoot straight. All this wish to kill in a place devoted to love. As you'll see, it is wedding time for little Wambezi long ago. Suddenly, happy shouts, laughter. In ancient tongue, what Kilauea means love. At this point, they'd trade all the gold of Kilauea for water. You tried to kill 2 long ago men. These warriors will take you to their village for judgment and punishment. No, city law. You broke jungle law. You may receive hard labor for some years. Be thankful you were spared the ancient law of this beach. He who comes to Kilauea without love, let him die here. And then we have some old Phantom ads, and they are Phantom t-shirts. Oh, the days where I was not alive, but Phantom t-shirts were in production, and I still cannot find them. Look at that cover. It's very, very beautiful. If you find these types of comics that are the A-series comics that are all published by a few publications in the olden days, keep them because they are relics of the past. They're in the archive, my archive, for a reason, and they are just beautiful books. So keep them and read them and treasure them because they are treasures. They are absolute treasures from the past. And as always, thank you for coming and looking at this 1985 Phantom New Year's special. And as always, keep Phantom Caving, stay safe, and there will be more videos like this coming soon to Phantom Cave Reviews.